If you're a songwriter looking to add more soul to your music, stick around because today I'm breaking down 5 of D'Angelo's sickest chord changes off his album Voodoo. By the end of this video, you'll not only learn the chords to these progressions, but more importantly, you'll understand the hidden techniques he's using to get that rich, colorful, tasty, stanky neo-soul sound. Hey everybody, Jeff Schneider here, back again with more chord theory and soloing tips for jazz, R&B, and gospel musicians. We're gonna jump right into Voodoo, one of my all-time favorite albums, with track number 3, Left and Right. Now I'm gonna play it for you in just a sec, but first, take a look at those chords. Any idea what key we're in? It's a little tricky, right? Maybe we're in the key of F minor or F major, but then there's the G7 and the G flat major 7, and they don't fit into either of those keys. Take a listen and see if you can figure out why these 4 seemingly random chords work so well together. There are a couple techniques at play here, the first of which I like to call the waterfall bass line. Take a look at just the roots of these chords. They're moving down in half steps, like a waterfall. And the magic of that half-step motion is that it instantly creates smooth voice leading. The other technique here is something I like to call the sticky top. It's where the top note of each voicing stays the same as the chords change below. Now, D'Angelo isn't the first guy to use this progression. Another artist that comes to mind is, well, take a listen. In case you didn't know, that's the intro to Overjoyed by Stevie Wonder. And the next D'Angelo track we're going to cover is also influenced by a pre-existing song. But let's be clear, D'Angelo is anything but unoriginal. Even if the chords are familiar, his unique sound always shines through. Oh, and before I forget, the key to Left and Right is F major. With that, let's dive into track 5 off Voodoo. This one's called Send It On. So that's actually a song called Sea of Tranquility by Kool and the Gang. Here's Send It On by D'Angelo, for real this time. The chords for this one are A minor 7, G minor 11, C13 sus, and F major 9. And here the music theory makes a lot more sense than the chords in Left and Right. If you strip away all the fancy extensions, we've basically got a 3 minor chord, a 2 minor chord, a 5 sus chord, and then we resolve to the 1. But even though these chords are all diatonic, meaning they fit within the scale, there's still a subtle twist in there, and that is that the progression doesn't start on the 1. Instead, we kick off with a cousin of the 1, the 3 minor 7 chord. And this is a technique I call the 3-foot sub. Let me explain. Whenever you want to add some variation or interest to a chord progression, you can pick a chord, go up or down a third, and use that chord as a substitute for the original. So A minor 7 subs in for F major 7 as it's a third up from F. And check out the notes in each chord. There's a ton of overlap. But by starting on the 3 chord instead of the 1, you get a much more interesting sound. It's kind of like dropping into the middle of a story. Listen to the difference. Here it is starting on the 1. And here it is starting on the 3. Now just to see, let's try that 3-foot sub technique, but starting 3 steps down from F, which gives us a D minor chord. Check out how that sounds. Kind of cool. By the way, if you want to download these charts, you can get them for free at the link in the description below. I have them in every key, major and minor, and they make understanding music theory so much easier. Check them out. Moving on to track 7, this one's called One Mo Jin. Now the chorus to this song also drops in on a non-1 chord, but that's not what I want to focus on in this progression. There's something else going on here that we haven't touched on yet. Take a listen and see if you can figure out which of these chords stands out from the others and why. If you guessed F7 altered, you're right. It's one of those VX gas chords. Now, what on earth is a VX gas chord?
It's a cholinesterase inhibitor. Stops the brain from sending nerve messages down the spinal cord within 30 seconds.
Okay, not quite that intense. In this case, the VX stands for 5 of X. And the gas, well, that's there because these chords are just so stanky. But seriously, 5 of X is how I like to think about chords that are more commonly known as secondary dominants. X is whatever chord you're going to, and the secondary dominant chord is the 5 of X chord. So in this case, B flat minor is X, and F7 is the 5 of X. But we're not going to B flat minor, are we? We're going to D flat major 7. So what's going on there? Well, for those of you paying attention, you'll recognize that we've got another 3-foot sub. The D flat major 7 is subbing in for the B flat minor, 3 steps away. All right, we've got 2 more songs to cover today, and they're my favorites on the album. The first is Feel Like Makin' Love, a cover of the original by Roberta Flack. It uses a lot of the techniques we've discussed so far. See if you can spot them. What did you notice? Well, once again, we're not starting on the 1 chord. Instead, it's the 2 chord that kicks things off. There's also a VX gas chord. Remember, that's 5 of X, and B7 is the 5, and E minor is X. But all of this is in Roberta Flack's version, so what makes D'Angelo's cover stand out? Well, it's all about the chord that lands after the chorus. Can you figure out what it is? That's an E7. And since we're in the key of D major, E7 is a 2 dominant chord and it adds a heavy dose of bluesy vibes. But maybe you're thinking, what about the other dominant chords? Don't they add bluesy vibes too? Not really. C7 and B7 are passing chords, they're transitional. But E7, we stay there a while. Now the last progression we're going to cover today is from the most famous track on Voodoo, Untitled, How Does It Feel? And the lesson within this chord progression is so simple yet took me ages to figure out. Take a listen. We've got a D major 7, A minor 7, G major 7, and C7. And sure, the hippest chord in there is probably that C7, but I want to focus on the A minor 7 going to G major 7. So what's so special about that? Well, when I was younger and pretty much only listened to jazz, I thought D'Angelo made a mistake here. I figured he forgot a chord. I thought it should be A minor 7, D7, G major 7, which gives you a true 2-5 resolving to the G. But as I dove deeper into R&B and neo-soul, I realized that skipping the 5 chord, skipping that D7, creates a much smoother sound. The bass moves more smoothly, going down 1 step instead of leaping from A to D to G, and by skipping the D7, you avoid that harsh tritone sound inherent in all dominant 7th chords. Does this mean D'Angelo doesn't use 2-5s? Not at all, but it opened my eyes to the fact that it's okay to go directly from the 2 to the 1 chord. There's a ton more to analyze within this song, and I do a full analysis in my course, Chord Theory for R&B Piano, which is linked in the description below. Also, remember that waterfall bass line technique I mentioned earlier in this video where the bass goes down in half steps? Well, if you want to hear me push that tool to the max, check out this video here where I transform the hymn Great Is Thy Faithfulness by using the waterfall bass line technique to reharmonize every single note in the melody. It's epic. See you over there.